Hi, and welcome to another Minecraft Bedrock video. In today's video we're going to build a skeleton spawner, and I'm going to go through some tips and tricks on how to make sure you make it as efficient as possible. Now let's get into the video. As we're going to be digging this out quite a big area, we're obviously going to need somewhere to store all the stone, so we'll set it up first. To start with, we need to clear out the area around the spawner, so from each side of the spawner you need to go out at least 4 blocks, and I go up 3, so I've actually got 2 block clearance above the spawner and 4 from each side. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to dig out the walls so I can actually replace the walls with blocks that I put in, so if I'm ever digging around this area again, I'll recognise a block that shouldn't be there and realise I shouldn't be digging it out. As we're mining out a lot of deep slate, I use deep slate bricks in this build. You could use any blocks you really like, but as I'm going to be turning this into my enchantment area in a future video, I think it'll actually look quite nice to have these blocks around. So I'm just going to fill in the walls and the ceiling, and again just to make sure that I've got that 2 block clearance above the spawner, 4 blocks on either side. We're now going to go down and do the same below the spawner. I actually go down 5 levels on this because I want to get the skeletons away from the spawner as quickly as possible to maximise the rates of what it will drop. You can go down deeper than this normally, but because I'm so close to bedrock it limited the gap that I had. But you can do whatever depth you like, because we're going to put water at the bottom so the skeletons won't actually take any full damage straight away. So I'm now finished doing the walls, and I'm now going to do the bottom part. I used the bamboo scaffolding to mark out where the centre of the room is. I'm just going to finish off the floor with the deep slate bricks, obviously leaving that one scaffolding block open. So with the floor finished, we're now going to go down 2 blocks. So the theory is the water is going to be in the corner of that room, and it's going to push the skeletons down into this hole. As you can see, there's a bedrock brick there, so we can't go any deeper, so we just need to be a bit careful on how we plan this out. Although the skeletons only need a 2 block high gap to go underneath, I'm just going to turn these into slabs just to give them as much room as possible, because the last thing I want is getting any skeletons stuck. So again, to make this farm as efficient as possible, we need to try and move the skeletons away from that spawner as quickly as possible. So eventually at the end of this tunnel there will be a soul sand water elevator which will lift them up, and then it will drop them into the killing area. But we need to get them really about 8 blocks away from the skeleton spawner so it doesn't mess with it when it then wants to spawn in some more. So if we put a bucket of water here, this is going to push the skeletons along this tunnel. And as you can see, it knocks out that torch, so it's not quite long enough. The water will actually travel about 8 blocks. So what we're actually going to have to do is we're going to have to drop the skeletons down another level below this and just push them a little bit further along. So I just put some scaffolding down here again just to mark, so this is the minimum distance that we need to move the skeletons before we can then put the water elevator in. I do make this tunnel a little bit too long, but if we take out this block then the water will run along and it will push the skeletons further down into this tunnel. So we just need to work out where to put the water elevator, so I'm just going to block the water off for a minute so I can work here easily. I've dug out a bit more of an area. I'm going to put the elevator here and to block off the extra sides to make sure that the water just goes straight up. If you look at the coordinates where I'm putting the water elevator, it turns out that it's going to be 11 blocks away from the spawner. And it's always quite handy finding more diamonds when you're doing this. So being 11 blocks away from the spawner, effectively what we've done is we've dropped the skeletons out of the way, and then the spawner can't detect them anymore, so it will then spawn in some more skeletons straight away. Just need to finish blocking this all in so the water elevator works. So I've just cleared the area outside the spawner where the water elevator is going to be. Where the water elevator is going to be on the floor that I'm normally going to be working from, I'm going to use tinted glass. This is quite good because you can see through it, but mobs can't see through it. I'm just going to leave this side open for now so we can still get in and out. So I'm just going to open up this wall here and walk backwards. By doing this, you can see how far away from the spawner you can get before it deactivates. So you need to be within 15 block radius of the spawner for it to work. So standing here, we're at minus 256. And if we go back over to near where that chest is, we're at minus 271. So you can still see that the spawner is active because the flames are in it. But if we take one step further, the flames go out. So at minus 271, that's the furthest we can stand away for the spawner to still be active. So now we can work out where we want the skeletons to drop. So we want minus 794 and minus 271. And that'll be the furthest away that we can stand in a straight line from the spawner. And that's where we want the mobs to drop. So again, I'll just mark that with some scaffolding so we know where we are. Time to just clear up some more of this area so we can see what we're playing with. So with the area a bit more open, obviously what you can see is the skeletons are going to drop. They're going to come up through that glass elevator and then they'll drop where we're now putting this. To make the skeletons an easy kill, what you want to do is you want to raise them up and drop them at least 20 blocks. That will lower them down to about 1 heart. So it only takes one hit with a tool or a sword to kill them. So the easiest way to measure this out is I started off with 34 scaffolding and I just built up until I got down to 14. So I've used 20 scaffolding blocks and I've just opened it up a little bit at the end and put a torch there. So I'm now just going back to work out what the coordinates are for the chute up, so I can then just tunnel along and then tunnel down back to where we are. So now we're back to minus 267. What we can do is we can tunnel down and that should land us straight onto that scaffolding. Now we can just fill in the other side of the glass. As we're nearly finishing the farm, I'm just going to bridge out so we can actually reach the torches, because eventually we're going to take the torches off here so we can start the farm going. We need to place 2 oak signs down here for the water elevator so the water doesn't flood the tunnel backwards and push the skeletons back towards the spawner. We will need to put a block here as well, but we'll do that later. I have created an infinite water source just to make it easier so I don't have to keep going up and down to get water. So if we start by placing 1 bucket of water at the top of our water elevator, and then we come down and take the scaffolding out. If we remove this block and put water in it, when we get pushed along in a minute, at least we won't die or take any damage. So I've put the extra block above the signpost, and if we now remove this scaffolding, hopefully the water will fall down from the top of the tunnel. Now we want to use the magic of the kelp. When you put kelp in water, it can potentially change it from a water stream to a water source block. So what we'll do is we'll go all the way up the tunnel with the kelp, turning this water stream into water source blocks, which will help with the water elevator in a minute. And that just pushed us over the edge and down to where the killing chamber is going to be. So now if we go back to our water elevator and swap over soul sand for the bottom block, hopefully that will lift us up automatically. Always good to test these things. So the last thing we now need to do is guide them into the centre of the room. So if you put a bucket of water in the corner, because of the size of the room it is, it will actually just put them just straight into the middle. As I remove the scaffolding, you can see that the whole basement of this is now waterlogged, pushing everything into the middle. So if we just fill this in, it's nearly ready to test. We're not going to put any item collection in at the moment, but we'll just put a block and a half slab there. We'll probably put some hoppers and chests there at a later date. Now we're ready to test, so if we just remove the lights and the blocks from the spawner, and we just close it up so there's no light getting in, the skeletons will start spawning. You can just about hear the skeletons dropping behind us. And then we have our first guinea pigs to try. I will just put some chests down here because obviously that will drop quite a lot of bones, arrows and bows. Sometimes there will be armour as well. But as you can hear, the skeletons, if I stand right under here, they can actually see me and they start trying to shoot at me. We can fix that by putting a trapdoor there. We'll just put that trapdoor up there now. As you can see, they can't see me now and they're not trying to shoot me. The top tip when you're trying to do water funnels like this, as you can just about see in the bottom there, the skeletons are getting stuck. What you can do is if you convert the edges of the stones to stairs, sometimes it can make them flow a bit easier over the edge. So if we put a torch back onto the spawner, and then if we jump down and we'll take the water out, and I'll show you quickly how to do that. As you fill the water back in, you see it still doesn't go down the hole even though the stairs are there now. Now if we remove the torch, hopefully like I say, that should stop the skeletons getting stuck at the entrance a little bit. This is why I like using glass, because you can see the skeletons going up the water elevator. Only after a few minutes you can see we've got over a stack of bones and arrows already. So from this cutaway view you can see the basic principle. The skeletons drop down to the bottom and get pushed down the funnel. They push each other along into the water elevator and all the way up to the top. At the top they have a 20 block drop into the kill chamber. Let's just see the journey that the skeletons take themselves. As you can see, we're following these three, but there's already some coming up behind us as well. So there's more spawned in straight away, look. So that's where we're going to leave the episode for today. You can see behind me that I've decorated the water elevator so it makes easy access up and down for me. Hopefully I've shown you how to build a skeleton spawner and also explained the theory behind how to make it more effective. In the next episode I'm going to show you how I make this into my ultimate enchanting setup. If you have enjoyed this video, please leave a like and comments below. But from me that's bye for now, and I'll see you on the next one.